Changing a speaker cable can alter the way we hear music. In this video, I'll show you exactly what it was. For reference, I also compared the Inakustik cables with the speaker cable I normally use in this system. One of the tracks used for this comparison was Fragile, originally written by Sting, performed here by Madeline Keller. In this track, it is possible to clearly hear the drummer playing on the rim of the snare drum. That detail makes it very useful for evaluating spatial information and the placement of instruments within the soundstage. The right symbol is also very revealing. It allows you to judge the extension of the treble and, just as importantly, whether there is any grain in the high frequencies. And Madeline Keller's voice, it's a very good indicator of how much body the cables give to vocals, as well as how clearly the voice is focused on the soundstage. The cables we are analyzing today are the Inakustik LS-1102. They use relatively thick conductors with a careful design braided construction. So let's talk about what really matters. The first thing you notice with the Inakustik cables is a more open and lively presentation. Compared with my own cables, the highs are more extended and the treble is very clean. Along with that comes a strong sense of air. The sound seems to breathe more easily. But that's only part of the story, because when you listen a little more carefully, something else starts to become apparent. These cables are also surprisingly fast. The Inakustik cables seem to have a very fast response, with excellent time coherence. And this has a very interesting effect on the music. Breathing, small vocal inflections, micro details that sometimes remain hidden become easier to hear. Since my resident cables seem to have slightly more weight in the lower frequencies, and the Inakustik cables sounded more open and airy in the higher frequencies, I decided to try B-wiring. I used my resident cables for the bass section and the Inakustik cables for the high frequencies. The result was actually quite interesting. The treble stayed open and airy with the Inakustik cables, while the bass kept the weight of my own cables. So, in a way, the system reached a very interesting balance between the two. In my case, the crossover point of the speakers may also have contributed to this result. Since the tweeter comes in relatively early in the upper frequencies, that probably made the differences between the two cables more noticeable. Of course, results like this can vary from system to system. Speaker crossover design, impedance behavior, and other factors can influence how different cables interact within a B-wired system. After listening to several tracks and alternating between cables, I came away with a very clear idea of the sonic character of the Inakustik LS-1102. These cables bring more air to the system, more clarity, and an excellent sense of speed and temporal resolution. And in the end, this shows something quite interesting about the world of HiFi. Sometimes all it takes is changing a cable to rediscover the way you hear the music. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.